Good morning. In today's advisory lesson, we're going to be covering the Avid Focus note-taking strategy, as well as we're going to be going over the support services that are available for all of our students on campus. So today, you need to have a sheet of notebook paper in front of you. If you use a notebook for advisory, you can use your notebook as well. And you're going to title your notes today, Avid Focus Note-Taking and Student Support Services. So that's what's going to be on your notes title for this morning. I have two essential questions for you today because our lesson today is two parts, twofold. So the first essential question, and you're going to write this down in your notes as well. Essential question number one is, how can you use Avid's Focus Note-Taking strategies process in all of your classes in order to be academically successful this year? The second question that I have for you is, what are the tools, resources, and supports available for all students at Fairfax? So you're going to write both of these down, and then we're going to move on to reviewing our notes setup for today. So today's note setup. You're going to be taking notes in one of the following formats. So you can set your page up as Cornell notes, you can do 2-column notes, or if you'd like, you can do bullet points as we go through the materials. So go ahead and decide right now which one of the three you're going to do, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to the definition of Avid's Focus Note-Taking. So Avid defines their focus note-taking process as having 5 phases. It's important to note that while applying learning is the last phase of the process, it is essential that it inform the first phase, as the note-taking format should be shaped by the note-taking purpose. When teaching focused note-taking process, educators need to determine how students will use their notes and set up the format appropriately. It is crucial for educators to model and invite students to engage in this thought process so that note-taking becomes a powerful and portable learning tool students can carry with them throughout their educational experience. So what this means is that hopefully your teachers will be able to guide you in terms of the best format of what the note purpose is for that day. So I told you you could choose, if you recall, I said you could pick Cornell notes, 2-column notes, or bullet point notes, which any of these formats fit for today's content. You didn't need to write anything down, so I'm going to go ahead and skip forward. And we're going to be talking about all 5 of these phases today. So taking notes, processing notes, connecting thinking, summarizing and reflecting on learning, and applying learning. So those are the 5 stages. Okay, so in your notes, go ahead and write down step 1. So the step 1, that's the first thing you want to do, is you want to take your notes. So you want to create notes, you want to select a format that works for you, or what your teacher might ask you to do. And you want to include your essential question or the lesson's objectives, as well as at the end of your notes for the day, you want to write a summary or a reflection. So I already had you write down the 2 essential questions, so that part should be done. So go ahead and copy this down. Those are basically the 4 things you need to make sure you include each time. Notes, the format, question, and a reflection. Step 2, your processing notes. So, after you've written your notes, you've done all of the pieces, you should be thinking about them. What that means is that you want to be able to go back and review the information, you want to color code, highlight, circle, underline, and you want to chunk your notes according to topics and or objectives. So based on what the topic is, you might color code certain things in yellow, blue, green, pink highlighter. You might underline certain key vocabulary words. You might circle terms that you feel like you need to go back and do a little bit more digging with. So you are the one who's responsible for going back and reviewing the information in order to really gain a deeper, more clear understanding. A lot of times when we take notes, we're so focused on the writing aspect and just jotting things down, whatever's up on the board, or listening to whatever your teacher is saying. The processing happens afterwards. The processing happens while you're rereading them and kind of reviewing them and considering things and thinking and really going through it at a deeper level. So just because you took the notes in class doesn't necessarily mean that you fully understood and clarified all of those understandings or of the topics and objectives that your teacher might be presenting to you. So it's key to go back and review, maybe that night, maybe the next day. But usually you want to give yourself at least 24 hours and then go back and make sure you look at them again. So, step 3, connect thinking. So, you need to make sure you're thinking beyond your notes to make those real big connections to possibly other classes, possibly other learnings or things that you've learned previously. So think beyond your notes and make connections. Review your notes to understand gaps or questions that you still might have about the topic. Consider connections that these notes have in your other classes or other learning you've done previously. Research beyond what you don't understand. So what this means is if you go home and you review your notes and you're looking through and you're kind of evaluating, processing, and then you're realizing that there's quite a few things that you missed, this would be a great opportunity for you to then decide, okay, these are the questions I still have that I don't understand, and then the next day you can make a tutoring appointment with your teacher, and then you can go in and you have those questions ready for them. So that way your tutoring is more focused as well. Because you want to make sure that when you go in because you don't understand something, you can very specifically tell your teacher, hey, these were the things I didn't understand. This is also a great strategy if you want to do peer tutoring. So if you have a study group that you've set up with other classmates, if you guys all go home, review your notes, come back together the following day, and all have your questions prepared, then you guys can study and tutor together and work together to gain that deeper understanding. But you have to be able to connect your thinking, understand and identify your gaps before you can move to that next level. Step 4 is summarize and reflect on learning. So this means that you think about your notes as a whole. A lot of times what you're learning in class is not necessarily specific to just that lesson. There's application beyond to other things that you've learned previously or things that you're going to learn afterward. So connect your notes to bigger understandings, themes, or concepts of the class. Find ways to reflect on how that lesson's objective fits into the bigger schema of your learning. You can't just think of your notes as isolated incidents. So just because you learned one concept in math doesn't mean that necessarily that's the only time it applies. In math, things build on each other. So you might learn how to apply one formula in order to then use it in conjunction with another formula. So you have to see how those things match up. Same thing happens in physics. You might learn a certain formula on how to process, the rate of something or the effect of a ratio or something like that, but then you might use that in conjunction with another formula. So you want to look at those notes holistically and be able to really think about how they work with each other. Same thing happens in English. In English, you might learn a bunch of terminology with poetry, but yet some of those same terms still apply when you're talking about your fiction writing or your novels or nonfiction. So you have to understand that things kind of flow continuously. And step 5 of the note-taking process is applying learning. This means that you use your notes. You use them to study for a test. You use them as a starting place when you're brainstorming for a project or begin writing an essay. Remember, your notes are a reference guide for the classes that you're taking. Learning is a cycle. When notes are taken effectively, they will continue to be a value to you. So what this means is that after you've done and you've taken all of your notes, maybe you took a notes for a novel that you read, and then your teacher has assigned a big project or a paper that you have to write. You should be able to use those notes to really be a starting place for you. In history as well, maybe your teacher wants you to do a project with a certain era, or maybe wants you to look at a certain country or something. I'm not sure, but whatever that might be, you should be able to go back and look at your notes and use them as a starting place. And then as a reference guide throughout the course. A lot of your guys' courses at the end of the midterm or the semester, you take a big test for that class. So you should be able to use all of the notes from all of the units you've covered and then use that as a way to study and prepare for that final exam for your class. So I'm going to quickly recap some of the things that are required, and I'm going to mention the types of notes that you can take. So all of your notes have to include an essential question which connects to the lesson's objective. All of your notes also need to have a summary section, which is a way for you to kind of reflect and recapture the lesson's objectives and showcase your understanding of the content. So, what kind of notes can you take? You can do Cornell notes, you can do 2 and 3 column notes, you can do sketch notes, mind maps, one-pagers, you can use graphic organizers, you can use charts and tables, you can use interactive notebooks. So your interactive notebook can be a compilation of all of the notes all together. And you can use combination notes. So that means a combination of graphics and handwritten notes. So there's a lot of things available to you guys in terms of how you're going to take notes, which is a lot different for us as a campus this year. In previous years, we only allowed you guys to do Cornell notes, and that was the big push. But now we're hoping to allow you guys to choose the types of notes and the formats in order to be more flexible with all the different content area classes that you're taking. So I'm going to do a quick note recap of the 5 processes. Number 1, taking notes. That's the big one. Number 2, you want to process those notes and you want to use color. When you are highlighting, underlining, circling, you want to use some color in your notes because color helps to trigger and chunk and understand a little bit stronger. Connecting thinking. You want to have a summary in your class or an activity that helps to connect. Summarizing and reflecting, you want to make sure you answer your essential questions. And applying learning, that means you really want to study and review your notes to prepare for future exams or assignments. Okay, so we're going to move on, and now we're going to talk about the student support services available at Fairfax High School. So at Betty Fairfax High School, we have a lot of support services available in order to make sure that all of our students are taken care of. So the purpose of this lesson is to introduce you guys to the support services team at Fairfax. So, right now I would like you to brainstorm. What are some problems that teens face? Take about 30 seconds and write down at least 3 things that a lot of teenagers face in terms of problems. You can go ahead and share with your partner, but come up with 3 things that teens go through. So hopefully you wrote some things down or you discussed some things. And there's a lot of stuff that teens go through. Some of the things are family problems, friend drama, money issues, drug and alcohol use, dating, emotions, death of a loved one, homelessness, pregnancy, abuse, parent divorce. So, what does this mean? It means that you guys need a place where you guys can turn for help. A lot of you guys go through a lot of different things, and so it's difficult for you to have to navigate school life, home life, and then all of the other problems and difficulties that get in the way. So Fairfax has a team of adults who are here to help when real life gets in the way of school. If you're not sure who to go to, talk to your counselor. They can get you to the right place. So write this down. Counselors, they are available to help you with academic and personal issues. If you don't know who your counselor is, this little cheat sheet up here on the board should be able to kind of tell you a little bit. So the counselors on our campus are Mr. Del Rincon, and if your last name starts with A to C, he is your counselor. Miss Doust is our counselor who helps students with the last names that start with D to H-O. Miss Mendeville handles students with last names that start with HU to MI. Miss Bundy, she's a counselor, and her caseload of students, she works with students who start with the last name MO to SAM. Miss Guard works with students from SAN to Z, and Miss Shoe Plumber works with our exceptional student services students. And then we have Miss Moreno. She is our office assistant in the counseling office, and she's amazing, and she'll help you, and she'll be able to guide you if you have questions or you don't know who to go to about certain problems. She can always help you out. She can let you know which counselor you work with. She can tell you if maybe you need to talk to somebody else on campus. She can help you to set up an appointment. She's a great resource. So these are the people on our campus. Right now, I'd like you to take a moment and write down who your counselor is. So thinking about your last name, who is your counselor at Fairfax? Write that down in your notes. Okay, so the other people on our campus are the Support Services Center. Write this down. Support Services Center is in room 2114. So you want to make sure you know what room to go to. So we have 3 people who work in our Support Services Center. We have Miss Sunico Morales. She's our community liaison. So if you need help with clothing, food, school supplies, if you need some materials, if you don't have a backpack and you need a new backpack, whatever you need, she can help you out and get you what you need. So you can always go and talk to her. Miss Morales is a great resource on campus. She's very friendly, she's very kind, and you can just go in there and ask to speak with her. Of course, you want to make sure you're going at an appropriate time. So make sure you're going, during lunch, before school, after school. If it's an emergency, you can talk to your teacher about it, and they might be able to get you a pass to go see her. So you just work it out with your teachers as appropriate. The second person you can talk to is Miss Maria Anaya. She's our student liaison, and she works with 10th to 12th graders. And you may know her if you have an attendance problem. So she helps to make sure all of you guys get to school, her and Miss Yvette Lavelle. Both of them are our student attendance liaisons, and Miss Lavelle works with 9th and 11th graders. So these guys are a great resource. They help you guys out. They make sure to provide attendance interventions. They follow up with you guys if there's anyone who's at risk of dropping out. They put you on contract. They might cite you for truancy violations. So they might seem like they're after you, but they're after you because they want to make sure that you guys are in class, you're on school campus when you're supposed to be, and that you're passing your classes so that you guys are all on track for graduation. So hopefully you got their names down, and you got down the room number of where these ladies are, and they can, you know the things that they can help you out with. So the next people that we have are here for emotional and behavior support. We have Miss Heather Miller. She's a social worker, and she's in the counseling office. So write this down: emotional/behavior support. You have Heather Miller. She's your social worker, located in the counseling office. And then you have Mr. Joe Mead. He's the behavior specialist, and he's on campus on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And he is in the ESS office. He's in the 300 building. So the social worker assists students who need extra support for social emotional needs that are creating barriers for learning. So if you're dealing with a lot of things emotionally and it's making it impossible for you to focus in class, she is here to help you out. She provides individual counseling, she facilitates support groups, and she's the crisis coordinator for our campus. She's a huge resource and a huge asset. So if you need to speak with her, you can always go to the counseling office to request to speak with her. But you need to make an appointment. So you probably will talk to Miss Moreno first. Our behavior intervention specialist, Mr. Joe Mead. Mr. Mead works with teachers, students, and parents to complete functional behavior assessments and develop behavior intervention plans with students who have behavior needs. He's a great resource as well. So our next person on campus is Miss Christy Garrison. She is our prevention specialist and the restorative justice coordinator. Miss Garrison is in the peace room. It's room 2101. Make sure you write this down. The peace room is in room 2101. So if and when a conflict happens between students or students and staff, you can come to the peace room for helpful strategies to resolve it. If you would like to join a support group, you can sign up in 2101. So our campus has a bunch of different support groups for different things, and you'll get, your teacher will be able to give you the list of the support groups that are available for this year. And so if you're interested, you need to go to room 2101 and sign up for that support group with Miss Garrison. And Ms. Garrison can also help you out if you're having a friend conflict, if you're having a conflict with a teacher, and you really want to resolve it, and you really want to mediate that issue. You can go and speak with her and set up a time for you and that person, or if it's multiple people, for you guys to sit down and mediate your problem before it gets out of hand. So it's super important that you use her as a resource before things escalate. The next person we have on campus is Miss Lorraine Dosella. She's in the counseling office as well. She is the Native American advisor. She provides academic help, social-emotional help, and college and career support to Gila River students. She also co-sponsors the Native American Youth Council, and that's with Miss Franklin. So if you're interested in joining the Native American Club, you can speak with Miss Franklin. She's in room 2206. Or you can speak with Miss Dosella. She's in the counseling office, and I know that they always want more members to join, more Native American students to join their club, and they do a lot of awesome, fun activities throughout the year. Miss Dosella is a great resource if you need any kind of academic help, social, emotional, or you need those supports for college and career readiness. And our school nurse is Miss Delia Ledesma. She is in the 100 building, and she's right next to the principal's office. So if you ever need to go to the nurse, you can always go see her if you have any kind of illness, you're not feeling well, you need medication, or if you're on medication and you need to submit paperwork so that she can administer your medication for the year, you can go and see her, and you can provide that stuff with her. What you need to be aware of is that you need a pass to go see the nurse. And there's a specific pass that the nurse requires that you guys use. It's a white pass, and it has a pink and a yellow slip attached to it. So you need to make sure that you get those passes from your teachers if you're going during class. Now, if you're going at lunch or before school or after school, that's not necessary. But if you're going during class, you need to take the appropriate pass with you. And the last person is our school resource officer, Mr. Garza, and he is employed with the Phoenix Police Department, and he is in the APS office. He's in there along with Miss Sandra Stringer, our Dean of Students, our Assistant Principal of Student Success, Mr. Perez, and also with security. So in the 300 building office, this is where Mr. Garza's office is located. He's a liaison between the Phoenix Police Department and the school, and he helps with crisis situation. He also does classroom presentations related to law education, and he's a great resource on our campus and in our community. And if you have a question, a concern related to law, related to crisis, if he is available, he will talk to you, so you can definitely go to 300 building and try to speak with Mr. Garza if you have questions about anything, or if you have any kind of big concerns or something you might be worried about. Okay, so this brings us to the end of our presentation. So if you'll remember from the beginning of today's lesson, the essential questions were as follows. How can you use Avid's focused note-taking process in all of your classes in order to be academically successful this year? And the second question was, what are the tools, resources, and supports available for all students at Fairfax? So for the last couple minutes, go ahead and write a summary. So box off the bottom of your notes and just write down summary, and then answer both of these questions in your notes. And then we are all done for today. Hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you are now thinking about how you can use notes effectively in your classes. And I hope you also know some people and some faces at Fairfax that are here to support you and here to help you with any kinds of needs, health, social, emotional, crisis, any of those needs. They're here to assist you. Thank you and have a great day.